You check your phone 40 times before lunch. You scroll past 100 faces before breakfast is even over. You feel connected to more people right now than any human in history ever has. But you have never felt more alone. That's not a coincidence, that's a mismatch. And the real answer is far stranger than you think. Your brain was not built for this. It was built for something smaller, something warmer, something with a fire in the middle of it. For nearly all of human history, you did not wake up alone. You woke up surrounded. 15, maybe 30 people. All of them known to you. All of them known to your children. You would spend your entire life inside that same circle of faces, watching them grow old, burying them, being buried by them in turn. That circle had a size, a real one. The anthropologist Robin Dunbar spent years studying primate brains and human social groups, and he found something strange. The size of a species' social circle correlates directly with the size of its neocortex. For humans, that number lands around 150. That's the ceiling. That's the number of relationships your brain can meaningfully track. The number of people whose lives you can hold in your head at once. Not follow, hold. You now have thousands of friends. How many of them would notice if you disappeared? Here's the part that should unsettle you. Dunbar's number isn't a suggestion. It's a hardware limit. Your brain didn't get an upgrade when the internet arrived. It's still running the same social software it ran on the savannah. Which means every single day, you are asking a Stone Age brain to process an Information Age social world, and it is failing. Quietly. Constantly. Think about what a tribe actually gave you. Not just company. Redundancy. If your mother couldn't feed you, an ant could. If your father died hunting, 3 other men would teach you to throw a spear. Children in early human societies weren't raised by 2 parents locked in a house. They were raised by everyone. The anthropologist Sarah Blaffer Hrdy calls this cooperative breeding, and she argues it's the reason humans became who we are at all. Babies who had many attentive adults around them survived better, grew smarter, trusted faster. The village wasn't a cliché, it was a survival system. You didn't inherit a need for community, you inherited a dependency on it. Now picture a newborn today. One mother, exhausted. Maybe a partner, also exhausted. No aunt down the path. No grandmother 2 huts over. No 4 other adults who already know this baby's cry and what it means. For the first time in the history of our species, we are trying to raise children in isolation. And your body knows it's wrong, even when your mind has stopped questioning it. Why does postpartum depression rates trend so much higher in isolated nuclear households than in cultures where alloparenting is still normal? Ask any anthropologist studying birth across cultures, and the pattern holds. Isolation isn't just hard, it's unnatural. It goes against 10,000 generations of shared child rearing. But it's not only parenting, it's you, right now on an ordinary Tuesday. Your nervous system still reacts to loneliness as if it were a physical threat. Not a metaphorical one, a real one. The psychologist John Cacioppo spent decades researching this, and his findings are almost eerie. Chronic loneliness activates the same threat response systems in your brain as physical danger. Cortisol rises. Inflammation increases. Sleep fragments. Your body isn't being dramatic. It's remembering something your mind forgot. For most of human history, being cut off from the group meant you would probably die. No one survived alone out there. Not from predators. Not from a broken leg. Not from a bad season. The tribe was the difference between life and death, and your body still treats abandonment like a 5-alarm fire, even when the abandonment is just a slow week of texts going unanswered. You feel a pang of something when a message goes unread for hours. That pang is ancient. Here's the twist, though. It's not that you have fewer people around you than your ancestors did. In dense cities, you may pass more human faces in one subway ride than a hunter-gatherer saw in a year. The problem was never quantity. It's depth. Your brain isn't built to bond with volume. It's built to bond with proximity, repetition, and shared vulnerability. A stranger's face, seen once, activates almost nothing. A friend's face, seen daily for a decade, activates a completely different set of circuits. Your brain can tell the difference between being surrounded and being known. And right now, most of you is surrounded. So what does knowing feel like, biologically? It's not abstract. Oxytocin, the so-called bonding hormone, spikes during physical touch, during eye contact held longer than a glance, during shared meals, during grief expressed in front of someone who stays. None of that happens at scale. None of that happens through a screen. Not really. You can love someone through a video call. But your body still asks for the room, the hand on the shoulder, the shared silence that isn't awkward because you've earned the right to be quiet together. Ancient humans didn't need a word for community. They had never experienced its absence. It would be like inventing a word for air. You, on the other hand, have a word for its absence: loneliness. It's such a common word now that it barely registers as strange. But step back for a second. An entire species evolved for 300,000 years inside constant physical closeness, and now, for the first time, hundreds of millions of us report feeling persistently, chronically alone. That's not a personal failing. That's not weakness. That's a structural collision between an ancient nervous system and a world built for individual apartments, individual screens, individual commutes. Could your loneliness actually be evidence that your instincts are working exactly as designed? That reframes everything, doesn't it? The ache you feel scrolling through a feed full of people isn't dysfunction. It's your ancient brain doing precisely its job, sounding an alarm, telling you that proximity without depth doesn't count. That 50 acquaintances are not the same as 5 people who would drop everything for you. So what do you actually do with a piece of information like this? You don't need to burn down modern life to fix it. You don't need a tribe of 30 people around a fire. But you do need to give your nervous system what it's actually asking for, not what algorithms have trained you to accept as a substitute. That might mean choosing 5 people and actually showing up for them, consistently, in person, over years. It might mean sitting in a room with someone in silence instead of filling every moment with a notification. It might mean recognizing that your exhaustion after a long day of connecting online isn't contradictory. Of course you're exhausted. You were promised nourishment, and you were given noise. Somewhere in your body, there is still a version of you that expects a fire, a circle, and 30 familiar faces who would notice the second you went missing. You check your phone 40 times a day, surrounded by more people than any human in history has ever known, but you were never actually looking for more people. You were looking for the tribe you were born expecting. If your brain just changed a little, hit subscribe. There's more where that came from. New videos every week.